Hello and welcome to this edition of the Halcyon Top 5s list. My name's Lorne Risey and I, you lucky devils, are going to be your host for this episode. Fighting games. A good test of gaming metal, the back and forth of will and fury, button mashing, combination swelling and controller dashing in those rare occasions where I lost. Speaking of those rare occasions, let's talk about overpowered game fighting characters. Fuck these guys. Seriously, screw them right in the ear. These are the characters that had no business being as powerful as they are. We're not talking about the bosses, we're not talking about the special stages, we're not talking about people that go through transformations. We're talking about characters that, for some reason or another, the programmers just decided to throw a bit of a monkey wrench in the thick of things and give you these characters that just make you want to pull your hair out through your goddamn nose with anger at how relentlessly powerful and strong they appear to be compared to other characters in the roster who, on the face of it, should be just as strong. So on this edition of the Halcyon Top 5s list, I thought we'd take a look back at some of the most overpowered fighting game characters of all time. Oh, hi, me again. Just so you're aware, this won't be like in chronological order, and I'm not quantifying these by being overpowered in a certain way. These are just my top 5 picks, so you feel free to put them in the order that you wish, and add yours in where you see fit. I was never here. Coming in at number 5, it's Eddie Gordo.
Eddie Gordo, or as I'd like to call him, the biggest piss take in the history of fighting games. Why I hear you ask? Well, 2 reasons. Firstly, no one ever picked him because he wasn't known prior to the game, which meant those that did pick him stumbled onto him by accident, making them merely lucky fucks who came across a character who can attack rapidly from every angle and with varying degrees of power. Secondly, because his outfits are total f***. He is so annoyingly unpickable, and yet in the hands of the worst player is capable of wrecking your friendships, diplomatic relations, and even the balance of space-time with how over-the-top easy he is to use. A proponent of the capoeira style of fighting, Eddie is acrobatic to say the least, bobbing and weaving from side to side, back and forth, up and down, with added breakdance moves added in for good measure. And what makes it worse is in real life the martial art isn't practiced, given that a good wrestler can take them down and ground them into the paste that they use to keep RoboCop alive. But in this game, he's the absolute worst. Debuting in Tekken 3, he is the reason why black holes wreck universes, because they aspire to be as effortlessly destructive as this guy. Lei Wulong, who is often chastised as being span happy in the Tekken series, at least had combos that were hard to pull off, difficult to fluke. But Eddie Gordo will make even the best of friends saltier than Spurs fans come the final day of the season.
You win.
Coming in number 4 is Jan Lee. That was definitely Jan Lee. Definitely Jan Lee.
Now in the Dead or Alive franchise, there are others who are perhaps stronger, more flamboyant, but no one combines the lightning quickness and power of Jan Li. As perhaps the laziest amalgamation of every stereotype of a kung fu artist ever, Jan Li shrieks with every move, mocking you since you hear the shriek about 10 minutes after he's double elbowed you across the screen in perhaps the only celebratory distance creating move I've ever seen in a fighting game. The guy is devastating when in the hands of a seasoned player, but in the hands of a noob, prepare for the spamming for starters, and the spamming for mains, served with a fresh side of spam. He moves so quickly, the only real remedy is to consistently and constantly hover over the counter and hope that your opponent is too dumb to realise this move. But if, like me, you didn't discover the counter until much later in my game time, then he will haunt you like a kung fu Michael Jackson. No other character in the game comes close to how overpowered he is aside from maybe the Tengu, and while he is annoyingly quick and powerful, he's supposed to be. In social terms, Jan Li is the guy who tells you he refuses to discuss spoilers, but then posts a thumbnail with the ending shown in a single frame. He's just the worst.
Coming in at number 3 is Deathstroke.
Injustice is a game that has very quickly established itself as a quality fighting franchise, coming from those maniacal gits over at NetherRealm Studios. Fast, fun, and packed full of neat powers and characters unique to the game. However, in the midst of the creamy comic goodness, there's Deathstroke. Now, aside from being named over what I suspect the Grim Reaper calls masturbation, this freaking guy is the bane of any player aiming for a perfect playthrough. His range attacks trump those of any other character with their ease, power, and coverage, given that he can attack almost every angle, and his attacks can be chained into sustained fire. And even if you do get in close, his hand-to-hand combat is acrobatic and unpredictable, meaning he can punish you with sword strikes to send you packing back into long range, or keep you close and devastate players with lightning-fast strikes and kicks. He also has access to explosives, and his finisher is one of the easiest to land in the game. And again, remember, he's not a boss. So while he has no moves I would classify as needlessly powerful, it's his overall package that will frustrate and confound you in the hands of a skilled player. Or even worse, in the hands of a novice who's worked out all the shooting combos. In gaming terms, he's like your little brother pressing the start button to join as player 2 every time you just want to play on your own for a little bit.
The One Earth regime's elite troopers, having committed atrocities in Superman's name, had gone into hiding from a populace bent on revenge. Impossible for most to find, but not for Deathstroke. Recruiting these renegades, he formed the New Titans, the world's premier political assassins.
Coming in at number 2 is Ermac.
Now I'll admit, this was a toss-up between this guy and Green Lantern given the similarity in powers, but then I remembered Deathstroke and remembered that he sucked just as bad, and it is one game per entry per list, so I suppose I gotta let him go. So, Ermac. This guy is imbued with the souls of multiple fighters, giving him multiple fighting styles to draw upon to construct his own methodology. But what makes him especially dangerous and OP is his telekinetic abilities. He can catch you mid-combo, chaining you into one of his own. He can launch powerful attacks designed to knock you off balance and keep you in distance. And again, at close range, he's a handful. But it's with that catch ability that he's so hard to stop, because in the hands of skilled players, you can register 70 to 90% damage combos with one series of combination attacks that are almost impossible to block. And while this is tricky to pull off consistency, his penchant for stopping you mid-combo like an annoying git interjecting mid-sentence constantly means it's so difficult to mount any meaningful offense given how much control over the arena he has. As he says himself,
he is many.
Yeah, many individual pains in the arse that forms a hive of annoyance.
Ermac wins. Fatality.
And finally, my first choice, simply based on pure annoyance, is one you're not going to see coming. It's Ryu.
Now I know before anyone says a goddamn thing, to many, this guy isn't OP at all. Well, let me tell you something. When you play Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the first time, unable to perform any of the moves, and the second fight, this guy rocks up and destroys you on the lowest difficulty, he's gonna make the frickin' list. Everyone knows the moves by now. He's got Hadoukens, Shoryukens, helicopter kicks, uppercuts, sweeps, and Assassin's Fist style are this guy's joie de vivre, and he uses them to devastating effect. Now, Dalsim is annoyingly hard to get to, but he lacks grappling so can be taken down that way. Zangief is a beast up close, but is at the mercy of characters with a power attack from distance. Whereas Ryu is supposed to be our plucky hero, and instead, he seems to enjoy spending most of his time pummeling me into the ground before I invariably quit to play FIFA to remember what fun is. His AI is just so goddamn aggressive, and I'm just not adept enough at Street Fighter 2 to control the setup and effectively counter, and even to try and pressure him back in particular, which, given Ken has an almost identical moveset to Ryu, and yet I can order a family bucket of whoop-ass on Ken, Ryu stands out to me as the fighter who feels way stronger than he has any right to be, and is way too hard to handle for someone at this stage of the game, given my level of aptitude. And that's why, unfortunately, as much as he might be a fan favourite, he's got to make this list.
Ryu wins.
And there you have it. Those are the top 5 characters that left me ruining the day I ever picked up a fighting game. Despite my infinite love for the genre and my mastery of the Tekken series, these are the characters that made me want to kick myself in the dick for an hour and a half to punish myself for ever thinking I could come up against these mother. So, what are your picks? What are the characters that you came up against in the hands of a newbie or an expert and realised immediately that you were about to waste your time? Leave me your suggestions in the comment section below. Check out some of the other content that I've been producing recently, it's rather delightful. And also go check me out on Defunct Games channel. I'm sure I'm appearing in something over there, maybe it's a porno, who knows? You won't know until you click, and once you do, you'll wish you hadn't. In the meantime, please, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Halcyon Top 5s list.